Seniors, pause for a moment and think about this. What if the very appliance you trust most in your kitchen, your refrigerator, is quietly sabotaging your health? Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? But every day, millions of people unknowingly store common foods in the cold, believing it keeps them fresh and safe. In reality, the opposite is happening. The fridge is triggering chemical reactions, nutrient losses, and even bacterial growth that silently drain your energy, damage your memory, and accelerate aging. And here's the shocking truth. Over 99% of people over 60 refrigerate certain foods that should never go near cold air. Some scientists now believe our obsession with refrigeration may be one of the silent contributors to rising chronic illnesses in seniors. Think about that. Foods you eat daily may be less nutritious, less protective, and in some cases even harmful, all because of where you store them. Before we dive into the list, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments where you're watching from and your age. We love hearing from you, and we're replying with personalized tips. Trust me, you'll want to be part of this conversation, because today we're uncovering 9 foods you should never refrigerate, and how the way you store them could mean the difference between keeping your body strong or letting it slowly break down. Wait until you hear about number 2. It's the one most seniors refrigerate daily, and it may shock you the most. Number 9. Potatoes. Here's where most seniors go wrong without even realizing it. You pick up a bag of potatoes from the store, take them home, and toss them in the fridge, thinking you're extending their life. But what you're really doing is turning them into a hidden health risk. Cold temperatures trigger something called cold-induced sweetening. Inside your fridge, the starch in potatoes quickly transforms into sugar. This doesn't just make them taste oddly sweet, it sets off a dangerous chain reaction. When those refrigerated potatoes are cooked at high heat, whether you're baking, frying, or roasting, those sugars combine with amino acids to form acrylamide, a compound classified as a probable human carcinogen. That's right, your mashed potatoes, French fries, or roasted wedges could be carrying toxic byproducts, all because they were stored in the wrong place. And here's the kicker. A study out of the University of Idaho found that potatoes stored in a refrigerator showed a 300% increase in sugar content within just 2 weeks. That's triple the sugar in less than half a month. For seniors, this means not only a greater risk of harmful compounds, but also more unpredictable blood sugar spikes, something no one with diabetes or heart concerns should ignore. But it's not just about health. The texture takes a beating too. Cold breaks down potato cell walls, making them gritty, watery, and far less enjoyable to eat. Ever wonder why your mashed potatoes sometimes taste off, or your fries cook unevenly? The fridge is the culprit. So how should you store them? Keep your potatoes in a cool, dark place, ideally around 45 to 50 ff. A pantry, cellar, or even a cardboard box tucked into a closet works better than your refrigerator. But here's a pro tip many people don't know. Keep your potatoes away from onions. Both release natural gases that make the other spoil faster. Keep them at least 3 feet apart, and you'll double their shelf life. Stored properly, potatoes can last up to 3 months without a problem. Toss them in the fridge, and they're ruined in 2 weeks. In other words, your storage choice decides whether potatoes become a superfood or a silent threat. Number 8. Bread. Here's a shocker. That loaf of bread you've been keeping in the fridge to make it last is actually going stale up to 6 times faster. It sounds backwards, but the science is clear. The cold air in your refrigerator accelerates a process called starch retrogradation. In plain terms, the starch molecules in bread reorganize and squeeze out moisture. The result? Bread that turns hard, crumbly, and flavorless in just a few days. A study from the Institute of Food Technologists measured this effect and found that refrigerated bread lost its softness and fresh texture in 3 days. Kept at room temperature, it stayed good for a full week. But here's what most people don't realize. Refrigeration doesn't just ruin the texture, it destroys the flavor. Those warm, comforting aromas you smell in fresh bread come from fragile organic compounds. In the cold, they break down quickly, leaving you with something that tastes closer to cardboard than comfort food. For seniors, this isn't just about taste. Bread is one of the most common staples at the table, and when it loses its appeal, meals feel less satisfying, which can discourage proper eating. So what's the solution? Store bread at room temperature in a bread box or a paper bag that allows air circulation. This keeps mold away while holding enough moisture to keep slices soft. If you know you won't finish the loaf in a week, the freezer is actually your best friend. Slice the bread first, freeze it, and then pop slices directly into the toaster when you need them. Freezing is quick enough to preserve the bread's structure, unlike refrigeration, which slowly ruins it. Here's the golden rule. Bread belongs on the counter or in the freezer, never in the fridge. By following this, you'll save money, avoid waste, and keep one of life's simple joys exactly how it's meant to be. Number 7. Honey. Honey is one of nature's most perfect foods. Archaeologists have uncovered jars of honey buried in Egyptian tombs for more than 3,000 years, and it was still safe to eat. That's how resilient honey is. But here's the catch. Put it in your refrigerator, and you can ruin it in just a few weeks. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize rapidly. Instead of staying smooth and golden, it hardens into a grainy, lumpy mess that won't dissolve properly. And while crystallization isn't dangerous, the real problem lies in what happens every time you open that cold jar. Condensation forms inside, adding moisture to honey's naturally dry environment. That tiny bit of water is honey's biggest enemy. Moisture allows bacteria and mold to creep in, stripping away one of honey's most valuable properties, its natural antimicrobial power. A study from the National Honey Board revealed that honey stored below 50 degrees Celsius loses up to 35% of its antibacterial activity. That means the very compounds that make honey a natural healing food, the same ones ancient civilizations used to treat wounds, are destroyed in the fridge. The damage doesn't stop there. Honey is packed with more than 180 compounds that create its complex flavor and aroma. Cold storage breaks these down unevenly, making even the best raw honey taste flat and cheap. And here's something you probably didn't know. The darker the honey, the more antioxidants it has. But darker varieties are also more vulnerable to cold damage. Refrigerating them doesn't just ruin the flavor, it wipes out their most powerful nutrients. So how do you store it? Simple. Keep honey at room temperature in a tightly sealed container, ideally between 64–75 degrees. Keep it out of direct sunlight, and it will literally last longer than you will. If it does crystallize, don't throw it out. Place the jar in warm water and stir gently, and it will return to liquid without losing its goodness. Think of honey as a food that can outlive civilizations, but only if you keep it far away from your refrigerator. Number 6. Coffee. For many seniors, that first cup of coffee in the morning is more than just a drink. It's a ritual, a comfort, and sometimes the only thing that gets the day started. But if you've been storing your coffee in the refrigerator, you've unknowingly been sabotaging the taste, the aroma, and even its health benefits. Here's why. Coffee beans are incredibly porous. They act like tiny sponges, soaking up odors from whatever is nearby. Your fridge is packed with smells. Last night's leftovers, that half-cut onion, or even the faint scent of cheese. All of it seeps into your beans. So when you brew your morning cup, what you're really tasting is a strange cocktail of fridge odors. But it gets worse. The refrigerator isn't just changing the flavor, it's shortening the life of your coffee. The constant shifts in temperature inside your fridge cause condensation to form on the beans. That moisture accelerates spoilage and can even promote mold growth. A study from the Specialty Coffee Association found that refrigerated beans lose 60% of their aromatic compounds within 1 week. 60% of the very oils and flavors that make coffee taste rich and satisfying are gone in just a few days. And here's the part that coffee lovers hate the most. When beans get too cold, their natural oils harden. Grind them up, and those oils don't extract properly during brewing. The result? A thin, watery cup of coffee that lacks the depth and comfort you expect. So what's the right way to store coffee? Keep it at room temperature in an airtight, opaque container. Light and oxygen are just as damaging as cold, so make sure your container blocks both. Buy smaller amounts more frequently rather than stockpiling big bags that go stale before you can finish them. And if you absolutely must store coffee long-term, the freezer is better than the fridge. but only if you freeze it once in airtight portions. Never thaw and refreeze. Bottom line, your refrigerator is turning your favorite morning ritual into a disappointment. Store it right, and every cup can taste as good as the first. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic has been called nature's medicine cabinet for centuries. It supports heart health, strengthens immunity, and even fights harmful microbes. But the moment you put garlic in the refrigerator, you're stripping away almost everything that makes it powerful, and even putting yourself at risk. Here's why. The cold, moist environment of your fridge makes garlic sprout. Those green shoots aren't just bitter. They can cause digestive discomfort if eaten in large amounts. But sprouting is only the beginning. Refrigerated garlic often develops mold, and some strains produce mycotoxins, harmful compounds that have no place in your body. And the real tragedy? Refrigeration destroys garlic's most valuable compound, allicin. This is the chemical responsible for garlic's sharp smell, and more importantly, for its healing properties. Research from the University of California, Davis found that garlic stored in the fridge lost 50% of its allicin within just 10 days. That's half its natural power gone in less than 2 weeks. For seniors who rely on garlic as a natural support for blood pressure, cholesterol, and immunity, that loss is devastating. The texture suffers too. Cold storage breaks down garlic's structure, turning the cloves soft and mushy. Try chopping refrigerated garlic, and it sticks to everything, turning into a paste that's impossible to use properly in cooking. Compare that to a firm room-temperature clove that releases its oils easily. The difference in flavor and aroma is night and day. So how should you store it? Keep garlic in a cool, dry, well-ventilated space. A mesh bag, basket, or even just a paper bag works perfectly. The ideal temperature is around 60–65 Fahrenheit. And here's something most people miss. Garlic needs to breathe. Sealed containers or plastic bags trap moisture, practically inviting mold. Stored correctly, a whole bulb of garlic can last up to 6 months. Here's a kitchen secret. Room temperature garlic not only lasts longer, but it also delivers a stronger punch of flavor when cooked. Cold garlic dulls your food. Warm garlic elevates it. Store it right, and you preserve not just a flavor booster, but one of the most potent natural remedies available to you. Number 4. Bananas. Bananas might be the most misunderstood fruit when it comes to storage. Most people toss them into the refrigerator the moment they start to ripen, thinking they're saving them, but what really happens is a slow-motion disaster that ruins their nutrition, texture, and appearance. Bananas are tropical fruits. Their cells were never designed to handle the cold. When exposed to refrigerator temperatures, they suffer what scientists call chilling injury. The cell membranes rupture, enzymes leak out, and the fruit begins breaking down from the inside. That's why the peel turns black and the flesh becomes mushy, even if you just left it in there for a couple of days. But here's the part that should concern seniors most. The cold doesn't just change how bananas look, it slashes their nutrition. A study from the Queensland Department of Agriculture found that bananas stored below 56 Fahrenheit lost 80% of their vitamin C content within 5 days. That's a major blow to your immune system, especially since vitamin C is critical for protecting aging cells, supporting collagen, and warding off illness. Another hidden effect is that refrigeration halts bananas' natural ripening process. Normally, bananas continue to produce beneficial compounds like antioxidants as they ripen at room temperature. Put them in the fridge, and that process shuts down completely. Instead of ripening, the fruit just decays. So how should you store them? Keep bananas at room temperature between 56–70 Fahrenheit. Hanging them on a banana hook prevents bruising and allows ethylene gas, the natural ripening agent bananas release, to circulate freely. Want to speed up ripening? Place them in a paper bag with an apple. Want to slow it down? Wrap the stems in plastic wrap. This reduces ethylene release by up to 40% and can buy you extra days of freshness. If you have too many ripe bananas at once, don't throw them in the fridge. Instead, peel and freeze them. Frozen bananas make creamy, nutrient-rich smoothies that taste better than anything you'd make with ice. It's a simple hack that turns potential waste into one of the healthiest treats you can enjoy. Bottom line, the fridge doesn't save bananas, it destroys them. Treat them the way nature intended, and they'll reward you with flavor, nutrition, and energy that lasts. Number 3. Onions. Onions are a kitchen essential. Soups, sauces, stir-fries, salads, they're everywhere. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes: tossing whole onions into the refrigerator. It feels logical, but it's one of the quickest ways to ruin both their flavor and their safety. The humidity inside your fridge is usually around 95%. Onions, on the other hand, prefer dry conditions with humidity closer to 65%. That extra moisture seeps into the onion's papery skin, creating the perfect breeding ground for mold. And not just any mold. Black mold that can produce aflatoxins, some of the most dangerous compounds known to science. But even before mold shows up, cold storage begins to change the onion itself. The chill converts onion starches into sugar. According to research from Texas University, onions stored in the fridge developed a 270% increase in sugar content within just 2 weeks. This doesn't just make them taste strangely sweet, it ruins their ability to cook properly. Instead of caramelizing into that rich golden brown you want, they burn quickly and taste bitter. The cold also damages their structure. Ice crystals form inside the cells, rupturing them and turning onions soft and mushy. Once that happens, you can forget about achieving crisp slices or proper sauté. So what's the right move? Store whole onions in a cool, dry, well-ventilated space like a pantry or cellar, ideally between 45 to 55 F. Mesh bags, baskets, or even pantyhose. Yes, really, allow enough airflow to keep them fresh. And here's a crucial rule: never store onions with potatoes. They release gases that make each other spoil faster. Keep them apart, and both will last longer. Here's the exception. Once you've cut an onion, refrigeration becomes necessary. Place the cut pieces in an airtight container and use them within a week. The exposed surface is vulnerable to bacteria, so this is one time when the fridge is actually your ally. The bottom line: whole onions and refrigerators should never meet. Store them correctly, and you'll have flavorful, safe onions that last weeks instead of turning into a soggy, spoiled mess. Number 2. Tomatoes. Tomatoes might be the food most people ruin without realizing it. Put them in the refrigerator, and you're not just changing the flavor, you're altering them at the genetic level. Researchers at the University of Florida discovered that refrigeration doesn't just make tomatoes mealy, it actually switches off hundreds of their flavor-producing genes. Once these genes shut down, they never fully recover. Even if you bring the tomato back to room temperature, the damage is permanent. What you're left with is a red balloon filled with watery pulp, stripped of both taste and nutrients. For seniors, this is especially concerning because tomatoes are one of the richest natural sources of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant linked to heart and brain protection. But cold storage reduces lycopene levels by up to 65%. And worse, it destroys the enzymes needed to absorb what's left. That means even the small amount remaining in refrigerated tomatoes becomes almost useless to your body. Under a microscope, the damage is easy to see. Ice crystals form between the tomato's cell walls, puncturing them from the inside. This is why refrigerated tomatoes feel grainy and mushy when you bite into them. Their structure has been shredded before they ever reach your plate. So how should you store them? Keep tomatoes at room temperature between 55–70 F, stem side down. This helps seal the opening where bacteria usually sneak in. Don't hide them in a dark cabinet. They actually need some indirect light to maintain nutrients. And never seal them in plastic bags. Trapped ethylene gas accelerates spoilage, turning one bad tomato into a rotting mess that can ruin an entire batch overnight. If you have too many ripe tomatoes, here's the trick. Make a sauce and freeze it. Unlike raw tomatoes, cooked tomato products actually have more available lycopene, and freezing preserves those compounds beautifully. The takeaway is simple. Refrigerating tomatoes doesn't just ruin their taste. It robs you of one of the most protective foods for your heart and brain. Treat them right, and you'll unlock their full power instead of watching it vanish in the cold. Number 1. Avocados. Avocados are often called the perfect fruit for seniors. They're loaded with healthy fats, fiber, and over 20 essential nutrients that support the heart, the brain, and the joints. But the moment you toss them in the refrigerator, you undo almost all of those benefits and sometimes create something even worse. Here's what happens. Cold temperatures trigger a process called lipid peroxidation. This means the healthy fats in avocados, especially oleic acid, begin to oxidize and break down. Instead of nourishing your brain and protecting your cells, they turn into harmful free radicals. Researchers at Stanford University found that refrigerated avocados lose 90% of their antioxidant activity in just 4 days. 90% gone, along with vitamin E, vitamin C, and the very compounds that help fight inflammation and protect aging eyes. But the destruction doesn't stop with nutrition. Refrigeration activates an enzyme called polyphenol oxidase. This is the same enzyme responsible for browning when you cut into an avocado. In the fridge, it goes into overdrive, breaking down the fruit from the inside out. The creamy texture turns stringy and watery, the fats separate from the fibers, and what was once silky smooth becomes an oily, bitter mess. So what's the right way to handle them? Keep unripe avocados at room temperature between 65–75 FF. Place them in a bowl on the counter with plenty of airflow. To speed ripening, put them in a paper bag with a banana. The ethylene gas from the banana can cut the ripening time in half. If you need to slow things down, buy avocados at different stages of ripeness, so you always have one ready to eat. And here's a kitchen hack most people don't know. If you cut an avocado and only use half, leave the pit in the other half. Brush the exposed flesh with lemon juice, then place it in an airtight container with a slice of onion. The sulfur compounds from the onion act as a natural preservative, keeping the avocado fresh and green for up to 2 days without refrigeration. The difference is night and day. A properly stored avocado gives you brain-boosting fats, joint-supporting nutrients, and the smooth texture we all love. A refrigerated avocado, on the other hand, turns into a bitter disappointment that may actually harm more than it helps. By now it's clear, the refrigerator, the appliance we trust most, can sometimes be our biggest saboteur. From potatoes that quietly turn toxic, to bread that loses its soul, to avocados stripped of their brain-protecting power, the cold air isn't always the safe haven we believe it to be. These 9 foods reveal a hidden truth. When stored the wrong way, the very items that should nourish and protect us can lose their power, or worse, create compounds that work against our health. And for seniors especially, every nutrient counts. The right storage method can mean stronger immunity, sharper memory, and a longer, healthier life. The good news, now you know how to fight back. By keeping these foods where they belong, in the pantry, on the counter, or in the freezer, you can reclaim their full nutritional strength and make every meal truly work for your body. It's not about spending more money, buying fancy supplements, or chasing trends. It's about respecting the food you already have and unlocking its full potential. Before you go, let us know in the comments, which of these 9 foods shocked you the most? Have you been refrigerating it for years without realizing the damage? We read every single comment and love sharing personalized tips with our viewers. And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it so more people can protect their health starting today. Your refrigerator doesn't have to be your enemy. Store these foods the right way, and you'll turn it from a silent saboteur into a true ally in your fight for better health.